Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bold and Beautiful podcast, where we are discussing all things bold and beautiful. I'm your host, Amanda, and this week I've decided to name the episode Inappropriate Kisses, because this week there was more than one of those. I want to apologize for the episode being so late. I hope all of you had a good week this week. I was extremely busy with my new job, and then my cable decided to go out, or my Uverse decided to go out for 2 days, and then I had to watch Thursday and Friday online, and you know how that is, you have to sit through the commercials. So I apologize for the episode being so late. Better late than never, right? Okay, guys, I don't have a lot of news. I only have one thing. Jacob Young, the actor who played Rick, he released his self-titled EP September 10th. I checked it out, and guys, he can really sing. I was very impressed. So congratulations to Jacob Young. And that is all the news I have for this week. So let's get to the good stuff. Monday, September the 10th. The show opens at Forrester Creations in the executive office with Brooke and Steffy, and we're picking up right where we left off Friday, and Brooke is still yelling at Steffy. And Brooke tells Steffy that she needs to stop trying to ruin Hope's happiness. And Steffy says that she has every right to fight for her line. And she does. And Brooke says, look, stop lashing out at Hope because Liam chose her and not you. Ouch. And then Brooke continues. She tells Steffy that she doesn't ever fight fair, and that she's using her influence that she has over her father to make him feel sorry for her. And then Steffy says, you know what? I am the co-CEO, so I will weigh in on what's going on. And then Brooke yells, okay, hide behind your business persona. We both know what this is really about. You're jealous of the life that Hope and Liam share. The life you stole from them countless times. Then Ridge comes into the office and he says, hey, you need to calm down. I can hear both of you all the way down the hall. Okay, enough. I can't have this anymore. I have to make a decision today. Now we head downstairs in the showroom with Hope and Liam. And Hope tells Liam that she is really glad that he's there with her. And then she explains to him what happened earlier with Steffy. And how basically Steffy demanded that Hope stop fighting for Hope for the future. And then he's like, what? Why would you do that? And Hope explains that it would compensate Steffy for losing Liam. So then Liam wants to know if what happened earlier was a fight. Did it turn into a fight? So Hope says that it wasn't pleasant. She was demanding that I give up on my line like I owe it to her. And then Liam looks sad and he says, honestly, she probably thinks you do. Then Hope explains that their family is the most important thing to her, but that she has to be realistic. She needs the funding to really make her line a success, but there's no way she's going to get it when she's going up against Ridge's daughter. Now we head over to Spencer Publications in Bill's office with Bill and Justin. And Bill asked Justin to file whatever he needs to file to buy Bill some more time, because he thinks that he could settle with Katie before it goes to court. And I hope that's true. Then he tells Justin that Brooke agreed to talk to Katie for him on his behalf because she's on his side. But he stresses that Justin must keep this quiet because Brooke doesn't want anyone to know, especially Ridge. And Justin is surprised that Brooke agreed to help Bill. I was a little surprised too, I have to admit. And then Bill explains that Ridge has to make a decision between Steffy and Hope. And he knows that the dressmaker will pick Steffy's line and disappoint Brooke again like he always does. So then Bill tells Justin that honestly, if he was Ridge, there would be no choice. He would pick Steffy's line, the intimates line, because it's a cash cow for Forrester. Not to mention, styles come and go, but every man wants to see his woman in lingerie. It's a no-brainer. But the problem for Ridge is it's going to leave Hope out in the cold. And Brooke is going to be so disappointed. He never has Brooke's back. This time won't be any different. Mark my words, Justin. Now we head back over to Forrester Creations in the executive office with Ridge, Steffy, and Brooke. And Brooke tells Ridge that he has to do what's best for the company and back Hope for the future. He can't make the decision based on the fact that Steffy is his daughter. And then Ridge, he says that he resents that remark. I really hope this doesn't cause problems between Brooke and Ridge. I really hope it doesn't. So Ridge calls everyone into the office for a meeting. Thorne, Quinn, Brooke, Hope, Liam, Steffy. So Ridge starts the meeting by asking if there's anything anyone wants to say before he makes his decision. So we go around the table and Thorne goes first. He supports Hope for the future and thinks they should back Hope. Quinn goes next and she backs Steffy in the lingerie line because she feels it has a broader appeal. Steffy goes next and she says that money talks and the intimates line has been profitable year after year. And then Hope goes next and she says you can't compare earnings because Hope for the Future just relaunched. And then Steffy says that she is looking at the bottom line. And then Brooke goes next and she jumps in and says that Hope for the Future is a name brand that has had a very successful run. And then Hope lays it all out there and she speaks from her heart to Ridge. And she says that Hope for the Future is not just about clothes. It is helping people. And it has a message. It empowers women. Not to mention we are getting the younger crowd who will eventually transition to couture. Next, Liam jumps in. Ridge, the line is already making an impact. And it's just going to get better from here. So Ridge silently listens to everyone's opinions, and then he explains that both of the lines are important, and that he's not getting rid of either one. He is very proud of Hope for all her hard work and for making the line such a success. But he has to base his decision on what he feels would be best for the company right now. And then he looks at Steffy and he says, I'm sorry. And then he looks at Hope and he says, I choose intimates. Steffy is thrilled. Liam and Hope are sad. Thorne is disappointed. Quinn is happy. But Brooke is furious. She is furious. I haven't seen her this mad in a while. I don't think we've seen her this mad since she broke up with Bill last time. So Hope asked Ridge to be honest with her. Is it only a matter of time before you call us all in here and tell us you're dropping Hope for the Future? So then Ridge assures Hope that he's not abandoning Hope for the Future. He's not going to drop the line. He just thinks intimates is the best choice right now. And then, surprisingly, Thorne says, okay, if no one else is going to say it, I'll say it. Ridge, did you pick Steffy's line because she's your daughter? Well, that question pisses off Ridge. And then Brooke jumps in and says, exactly. And then Ridge looks at Thorne and he says, I made this decision based on what's best for the company, period. Now, everyone out. I need the room. And then he asked Steffy, Brooke, and Hope to stay behind for a moment. And when everyone's gone, Brooke is staring Ridge down. And Ridge asked Brooke to please not look at him like that. And Brooke says, what do you expect, Ridge? You picked your daughter over mine. Simple as that. Ridge is really frustrated. He tries to explain to Brooke that he made a business decision that happened to include both their daughters. and that he's not abandoning Hope for the future. But Brooke is not hearing it. She is furious. Hope has put everything into this line, her heart and soul. My God, Ridge, you really did buckle under Steffy's pressure. And Ridge looks kind of confused and he says, what? And then Steffy says, excuse me? Then Brooke looks at Steffy and she says, you want to lose yourself in your work, Steffy? Well, you could do that anywhere. You don't have to do that here. You just wanted to play on Ridge's sympathies to get whatever you wanted. I mean, it's really sick, and I'm out of here. And then she slings the chair back, and she stands up, and then she storms out and slams the office door. And Ridge immediately jumps up and runs after her and tries to stop her, but he can't stop her. And Hope and Steffy are shocked at how angry Brooke was. And then Hope leaves the office to go find Liam. Hope finds Liam downstairs in the showroom waiting for her. And Liam says, hey, don't worry, we got this together. And then Hope sadly says, yeah, but with no money. Liam agrees, yeah, with no money. But he has some ideas. He's thinking they can beef up their social media game. And that doesn't cost anything. Liam is so sweet. He's trying really hard to cheer Hope up. He doesn't want her to give up, and he doesn't want her to be sad. And Hope smiles and says, you believe in me so much. You always know how to make me feel better. And then Hope looks at Liam with a serious look, and she says, you know, my mom was furious. I really don't want this to cause any problems in her marriage. And then Liam agrees. Now we go back upstairs in the executive office with Steffy and Ridge. And I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Ridge because no matter which line he picked, someone was going to be hurt and upset. I just wish he would have split the money between the two lines and said, do what you can do with this, right? But I guess he couldn't. So Steffy assures Ridge that he made the right decision and that Brooke will come around eventually. And Ridge is very upset because he just wishes this didn't have to come at Hope's expense. And then he looks at Steffy and he says, did you see the way Brooke looked at me? Now we head over to Il Giardino. And Brooke runs into Bill again. Really? She explains that she won't be good company and that she really doesn't want him to stay. But of course, Bill sits down at her table anyway because it's Bill and he never listens to anyone. So Brooke tells him what happened at the meeting and that she is really frustrated for Hope, but also disappointed for herself. I'm sorry, I have to stop because Brooke should not be talking to Bill about Ridge. It's not a good choice. It's not a good decision. For one, you can't really trust Bill. And if he feels like he can use something to hurt Ridge, he will use it. So this is not, to me, I think she's making a huge mistake by confiding in Bill because it would really hurt Ridge if he knew that she was doing this. So then Bill, of course, tells Brooke that Ridge is horrible and he never supports her and the same things he always says because he hates Ridge. I mean, Bill threw Ridge out of a helicopter for crying out loud. He's not objective. So then he tells her that he is here for her no matter what, whatever she needs. All she has to do is say the word. He says that he is honoring their history and he is there for her always. And that's how Monday ends. So that brings us into Tuesday, September 11th. The show opens at Forrester Creations downstairs in the showroom. And Steffy and her team are doing a pre-production run-through with everyone who is on the team. Some of the people who were on Hope's team are now helping on Steffy's team. Sally, Quinn, Emma, Xander, they're all helping out. And Ridge has also arrived to watch the run-through. Quinn walks over to Steffy and she tells her that she's completely on her side and that she totally agrees with Ridge's decision. And then, surprisingly, Sally walks over and she says that she also agrees with Ridge's decision. And I was like, wow, Sally turned on Hope for the future quick. Then Sally asked if Steffy would be willing to look at some of her intimate designs. And Steffy says she would. No problem. Then the run-through starts. All the models take a pass down the runway, including Steffy. Once again, Zoe flirts with Xander when he takes her photo, and Emma's right there. So Steffy looks really good in her lingerie. I'm not going to get into the designs until the runway show. So the run-through went well, and Ridge was there the whole time to critique, but also to show his support for Steffy. Now we head upstairs into the executive office, and poor Hope is on the phone, and she's having to explain that due to the recent funding cuts, she will no longer be able to partner with their charity organization anymore. It doesn't say exactly which charity, but Brooke walks into the office, and she hears what's going on, and she's still angry about what Ridge did to Hope. And Hope feels bad because she has had to backpedal with most of the charities. And that's what hurts her the most. And she also tells Brooke that she's not surprised, giving her past, that she lost out to Steffy. And then Brooke, of course, lets Hope know that she's upset because Steffy played on Ridge's emotion. And you have everything, and all she has is work and the baby. That's exactly what she did, actually. That is pretty much exactly what she did. Even though she keeps denying it, she flat out said to her dad, you better not pick Hope's line. So Brooke pretty much is right. She pretty much hit the nail on the head. So then Hope gets serious, and she tells Brooke that she does not want all of this business stuff to come between her and Ridge. She doesn't want Ridge and Brooke fighting over this. And Hope says that she just thinks her and Steffy are just two totally very different people. People who will never see eye to eye. And Brooke agrees, and she tells Hope that she probably shouldn't say anything, but look how Steffy lives her life and the choices she makes. Her actions are very much reflected in her line. So then Hope leaves, and Brooke stays in the office working. And Ridge walks in, and she asked him how the run-through went, and he says that it went really well. And then Ridge sits down, and he takes her hand, and he says, look, it was a very tough decision to make. And Brooke looks like she doesn't really believe him. She says, really, was it? And Ridge says, yes, of course it was. I didn't want to hurt anyone I love. And then Brooke looks at him and she says that she feels Ridge has disappointed her and Hope, but that she mostly feels betrayed by him. And then Ridge assures her that he will make it up to her. And then Brooke feels like whenever Ridge has a choice to make between Hope and Steffy, that Hope always loses, which is true. But come on, I mean, can Brooke really hold this against him? Like, could she really be mad about it? I mean, just think of it this way. If Brooke had to make a decision between Steffy and Hope, she would pick her daughter. Like, I think it's your natural inclination to want to pick your own child. But I do see where she's coming from, because she wants him to be fair. She doesn't want him to play favorites. So I get where she's coming from too. I can see both sides of it. So Ridge keeps trying to convince Brooke that the decision was not personal, it was business. And Brooke feels that it is personal. And she explains that she feels bad for Hope and Steffy. They were finally getting along. And then here comes Ridge, and he pits them against each other again. And it's sad. And then Ridge claims, of course, that he didn't mean to do that. Seriously? Really, Ridge? Seriously? You had to have known what this was gonna cause. So Brooke just doesn't want Steffy and Hope to turn out like her and Taylor, hating each other and being miserable. Now we head across the hall to the side office with Emma and Xander. And Emma is telling Xander that she feels really bad for Hope. And Xander reminds Emma that hope for the future is not completely gone. And that since they're just interns, they have to be loyal to all the lines. And then Emma agrees. And Xander tells Emma that he has plans for a date for them at Bikini Bar. And this makes Emma really happy. And Xander says he also has some surprises for her. So she rushes off to go finish her work so that they could get out of there and go on their cute little date. I'm sure it'll be cute, unless Zoe shows up. So what they don't realize is that Zoe is standing outside of the office door, eavesdropping, and she hears everything that they've said. So as soon as Emma's gone, Zoe walks into the office wearing nothing but the lingerie she had on earlier, trying to seduce Xander. I can't talk all of a sudden. So Zoe comes in her lingerie and she's trying to seduce Xander. But surprisingly, he informs her that he has plans and that he will be busy all day and that he doesn't have time for this. And this, of course, makes her jealous and angry. And before he walks out the door, she says, Xander, you really think you're going to get anywhere with that little Emma? Ha! Good luck. And then he leaves. So Zoe starts thinking about when she used to be with Xander and how much she loves him, and she's daydreaming about when they used to be together. And I'm sorry, but this bitch has not changed, and I really feel sorry for Emma. Now we head to Bikini Bar. And Xander and Emma have just arrived, and Xander has a surprise for Emma. He leads her outside, and he has a beautiful private beach cabana all set up for her. And it's really pretty. It's like a pretty white tent with these pretty white drapes where you can't really see in that, like you could barely see in, but you could see out. It's really pretty. And Emma is obviously a little nervous, but she's also flattered, and she loves it. So Xander explains that since they've been working so much, he wanted to do something special to show Emma how much he cares about her, which I thought was very, very sweet. Considering that he's already kissed Zoe behind her back twice, I'm hoping that that was just 2 little mistakes and that it won't happen again. But we'll see. Now we head back to Forrester Creations, and we're downstairs in the showroom, and Hope runs into Steffy. So Hope basically questions Steffi's ethics, and Steffy is surprised because Hope is not holding any punches back. And Hope questions if Steffy even knows what her ethics are. This makes Steffy mad, and she says, "Oh, okay, so you disapprove of me. No surprise there." And Hope tells Steffy that she doesn't believe that she didn't pressure Ridge to pick her line. She doesn't believe that Steffy didn't do that. She thinks for sure Steffy pressured Ridge to pick her line. And Steffy admits that she definitely put her opinions and her thoughts out there to her dad. But so did Hope. And then Hope asked, all this makes me wonder if the past few weeks, everything you said and did, was it all just empty words? Now Steffi's getting madder. And she says, I was trying to get along for our children. Rise above. But I guess I didn't succeed because you still have this judgy attitude towards me. Like I'm less than. So this whole getting along thing, I guess it was an act. Because you're still here, judging me. And thinking that you're better than me. You always have and you always will. And that's how Tuesday ends. So that brings us into Wednesday, September the 12th. The show opens at Forrester Creations in the showroom, and we're picking up right where we left off yesterday with Hope and Steffy. And Steffy says to Hope that it was all an act. This fake friendship was never real because you still think you're better than me. And Hope says that's not true. She doesn't think she's better than Steffy. As a matter of fact, she admires Steffy for many things. But Steffy feels that the things Hope doesn't admire her for, she judges. So basically Steffy thinks that Hope is judging all the stuff that she does. And Hope apologizes if that's how she comes off, because she doesn't mean to come off that way. But then she adds that she isn't surprised that she's with Liam because they have the same values and they're more compatible. She also thinks that Steffy is holding a grudge because Hope is living the life that Steffy wanted with Liam. Hope is not holding back at all, is she? So Hope says that it's time to be honest, and she feels that Steffy is holding a grudge. And Steffy says that she does wish that things had gone differently, but they didn't. And she's tired of Brooke and Hope thinking that she's jealous or pining away for Liam, because she's not. She's moving on and she's making a life for her and her daughter. And Hope says that she respects that, but she feels that this is personal and it hurts. And then Steffy lies and she says that it's not personal. And Hope is the one making it personal. But Hope isn't buying it, and neither am I at all. She wants Steffy to admit that a part of her was lashing out at Hope. She wants her to admit that she's lashing out at her and that she has a grudge. So Steffy says, look, I'm just throwing myself into my work. That's it. But Hope is she's convinced that Steffy used her influence to sway Ridge's decision, because she did. Steffy won't admit that she influenced Ridge. She's not going to admit it. She won't admit it. It's not going to happen. And she tells Hope that it was the best decision for the company, period, and she needs to accept it. Now we head upstairs in the executive office with Ridge and Brooke. And Brooke, we're picking up right where we left off yesterday, and Brooke is saying that she's sad for Hope and Steffy because they were finally getting along. And then Ridge says that he doesn't think that this newfound friendship was going to last anyway. And Brooke thinks that maybe it could have if Ridge didn't pit them against each other. She isn't going to pretend to be happy that Ridge picked Steffy's line over Hope's. So Ridge again explains that this decision was hard to make. But Brooke feels that Hope was never even in the running, which is true. And then Ridge says something that's very telling. He confirms what we all know, that this was about more than just business. He says, Hope for the future will be okay. And Steffy needed this more than Hope did. And then Brooke looks at him with this look like, I knew it. And she says, oh, I see. Why? Because Hope has Liam? Is that what you mean? So you're punishing Hope for that? And Ridge says, of course not. And then Brooke tells Ridge that they have a blended family and he can't play favorites with their kids. This is going to end the peace between Steffy and Hope. Then Ridge assures Brooke that if they can explain that it's a financial business decision, it won't come between them. Brooke laughs and says, yeah. And this all works out so good for Steffy. And then Ridge tells Brooke to please not hold it against Steffy for the decision that he made. And Ridge really doesn't want to fight over their daughters. So he says that he wants to call a truce. And then Brooke points out that didn't go so well for Hope and Steffy, did it? Now we head over to the bikini bar. And we're in the private cabana with Emma and Xander. And Xander tells Emma that he wanted today to be just about them and no one else. And Emma says she loves the sound of that, especially because there's no Zoe. And she totally agrees, and she loves his surprise. So back in the bar, at the main bar, back in bikini, Zoe has just arrived and she is already looking everywhere for Xander and Emma. okay, I have to stop. I'm sorry, but she has not changed at all. She is still stalking them. And she is a liability for Forrester Creations. I'm sorry, she is. She says that she changed. And then as soon as she finds out that they're on a romantic date, which she should be far, far away, she's going to show up. Like, how is she think this is not going to look crazy? Because it is. So, since she doesn't see them, she goes to the bar to talk to Danny, the hot bar manager / model. And she asked if he has seen Xander or Emma, but he says no. So back in the cabana outside, Emma tells Xander that she is so impressed that he put so much thought into everything and she loves it. And then Xander wants to show her how special she is to him. And then he gives her a shoulder massage, which leads to making out. So Emma and Xander are getting hot and heavy, but then Emma stops them. I'm sorry if you hear that scratching. That's my dog. That's my dog trying to get in. So Emma stops and she explains that she really cares about Xander, but she's not ready to go to the next level yet. It's just too soon for her because she's young and she wants to take it slow. And I think she's freaking out a little bit because instead of just explaining this and then hanging out and, getting to know each other and this, instead she's like freaking out a little bit and she explains this and then she says that she has to leave. And she just totally takes off and she just leaves him alone after he went through all that trouble to do that for her. And that kind of surprised me. And I was thinking, oh, that's nice. I mean, she might as well wrap him in a bow and hand him to Zoe. So Xander totally says that he understands, but you can tell that he's hurt and that he can't believe she just took off and left him. So at this point, I was like yelling at my TV because Emma is playing right into Zoe's hands. So of course, Zoe sees Emma leave and she runs outside to look for Xander. She finds the cabana and she just walks in and she says, wow, this is nice. A pity it has to go to waste, or does it? So back at Forrester Creations, Emma, I think, is regretting her decision to leave Xander. And she's sitting in the office. She's in the side office and she's sitting there and she's thinking about their relationship and everything that they've been through. And I think she's kind of having second thoughts or feeling a little bad about leaving him. Meanwhile, back in the cabana, Zoe is trying to seduce Xander. You can tell he is uncomfortable. And she gives him this big speech about how she's changed and how she's a different person. And I'm thinking in my head, isn't her being there in this cabana right now a red flag? I mean, come on, Xander. How would she even know you were there? Like, come on. So then, of course, it works. And she starts unbuttoning his shirt and she takes it off and then they start kissing. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy just told Emma how much he was into her and now he's kissing Zoe. And I want to throw something at my TV. So really, literally 3 minutes ago, he was telling Emma how special she is and now he's kissing Zoe. Back at Forrester Creations, downstairs with Hope and Steffy in the showroom, Steffy and Hope agree that they are very different women and they may never see eye to eye, but that they both don't want to repeat the past and they don't want to be their mothers. Steffy wants Hope to let it go. She still has her line, so she just wants Hope to let it go. And Hope feels it's just not that easy. So Steffy basically says, I'm going to take charge at home and at the office, and I'm not going to let anyone get in my way. And that's how Wednesday ends. Was that a threat? Because it sounded a little bit like a threat to me. So that brings us into Thursday, September the 13th. The show opens at Forrester Creations in the executive office with Ridge, and he's in the office working, and Quinn walks in, and she gives her opinion, basically, and she says that if Ridge is second guessing his decision, he shouldn't be, because it is the right decision for the company. And Ridge says that he doesn't regret or second guess his decision, he just wishes Brooke would understand. And then Quinn has some work for Katie, and she comments that Katie's been working from home a lot. And Ridge tells her it's because she's going through a lot with the custody battle and everything. So he's trying to be supportive. So Quinn agrees totally with Katie's decision. And she says that's why she kept Wyatt away from Bill, because he's toxic. And of course, Ridge hates Bill, so he agrees that Bill is no good. And he admits that it bothers him that Brooke always finds a way to defend him or to feel sorry for him. And he just doesn't get it. Now we head over to El Jardino's, the restaurant. Brooke is secretly meeting with Bill again, and I don't approve. If you want to keep it a secret, you don't go to the restaurant where everyone else goes, right? These two have no business having secret meetings. Ridge would lose his mind if he saw this. So we find out that Bill asked Brooke to meet him. He wants to see if she has talked to Katie yet. I think he's worried that Brooke might have changed her mind. And Brooke is still a little unsure if helping Bill is a good idea. But Bill basically begs her to help him. Now we head over to Katie's house. Thorne and Carter are there, and Carter has the paperwork, and he lets them both know that Bill has been served. But Carter informs them that he hasn't heard anything back yet, so he's not sure what's going on. So Katie thinks maybe Bill is not going to fight it. Yeah, right. Please, Katie, be realistic. Thorne thinks Bill is just trying to mess with them and keep them guessing. Well, Carter assures Katie that she is doing what's best for Will. And everyone knows that I love Carter, but I don't feel like it's his place to be making those observations. He doesn't know Will or Bill that well. So then Thorne tells Carter that Bill has left Katie no choice, which I totally don't agree with. And then the door opens and it's Will. He's just getting back from his friend's house. And he asks Katie what's going on. But of course she doesn't tell him. She says nothing. And then he takes off upstairs. Carter is about to leave and Brooke walks in. She has stopped by to see Katie. So Katie wants to know why Brooke is there. They make small talk and chit chat for a little bit. Carter leaves and Thorne leaves. And then Brooke asks Katie if she really knows what she's doing with this whole custody thing. Now we head back to Spencer Publications in Bill's office. And Justin wants to know what Bill wants him to do because he keeps getting texts from Carter. The radio silence is starting to get to them. And then Justin asks if Brooke is still going to help Bill out. And Bill assures him that Brooke will come through for him. Now we head over to Bikini Bar. And we're in Xander's private cabana. Zoe is desperately trying to seduce Xander. She's playing on his memories and his feelings. And he isn't pushing her away. So I wish Emma could see this. I really do. But before I say anything else bad about Xander, to my surprise and relief, he does push Zoe away. Because Zoe kisses him. So that's the first inappropriate kiss. And he pushes Zoe away and he explains that he doesn't want to hurt Emma. So he can't do this with her. Xander tells her that they are playing with fire. And Zoe likes the way that sounds. She thinks that sounds fun. But Xander does not. He tells her that he really cares about Emma. And she's not hearing him. But typical Zoe says, "No, you're not hearing me. I'll wait until you realize that Emma is just a girl. She can't fulfill your needs. But I can. You can clearly see that she has given Xander something to think about. Now we head back to Forrester Creations, upstairs in the executive office. Ridge and Quinn are still discussing Katie when Thorne walks in. So they asked if Katie's okay. And Thorne explains that Katie is hanging in there. And then Ridge asks if Bill is making it difficult. And Thorne says that it's been radio silent and they haven't heard anything from Bill yet. But that he knows that Bill will fight back soon enough. And that he will make this very difficult. And then Ridge tells Thorne and Quinn that Bill is a bad father and a horrible person. And it's time that he face the consequences. Well, I'm glad that Ridge and Thorne are the judge and jury. Then Thorne thanks Ridge for his support with Katie and the whole custody thing. Because he feels that Katie and himself will need everyone's support when Bill decides to hit back. They need to be ready. And Ridge assures Thorne that he has that they have his full support. Downstairs in the showroom, Xander is taking pictures for Hope for the Future. The models, there's 2 models, and they're clearly flirting with him. What they don't know is that Emma is also in the showroom watching. When he's done with the photos, one of the models clearly lets him know that she's interested in him. But before he can answer, Emma walks over. Both of the models look very guilty and they say goodbye and they take off. Emma wants to make sure that Xander knows that she loved his surprise, but she needs him to understand that she wants to take things slow. Xander hugs her, but he is thinking about Zoe and what happened earlier and what she said about Emma not being able to fulfill his needs, and she's gotten into his head. So I feel bad for Emma. Now we head back to Katie's house, and Katie assures Brooke that she has really thought this through and she's done a lot of soul searching. And then Brooke reminds Katie that despite Bill's shortcomings, he truly loves Will. And I also believe that too. I really do. And Brooke just doesn't understand how sole custody will help Bill and Will's relationship. For that matter, how will it help Will to trust Bill again? Thank you, Brooke, because that's what everyone wants to know, because this makes no sense. It is really interesting that Brooke is the voice of reason. Back at Spencer Publications in Bill's office, Justin is really surprised that Brooke is on Bill's side. And Bill explains that really Brooke is on Will's side. She doesn't agree with Katie. Sole custody will only hurt my relationship with Will. And Brooke sees that. I just wish Katie would. So do I. Bill is devastated. He is so hurt that he might lose Will. And I actually feel really bad for him. I know, he deserves most of this, but I still can't help feeling sorry for him. Now we head back over to Katie's house, and Katie asked if Brooke has been talking to Bill. And Brooke doesn't answer, and she hurries up and changes the subject. And Katie is getting upset because Brooke is taking Bill's side. So Katie launches into her speech, the same thing she's been saying over and over. The stuff that came right from Thorne. Bill neglected Will and was pining for Steffy, and she has to do what's best for Will. And then Brooke agrees with all of that. She understands how Katie feels and how she needs to protect Will. But she also feels Katie is taking this to the extreme when it doesn't have to go that far. Brooke says that she has to wonder if Katie is punishing Bill. Well, this sets Katie off. And she says, of course this is not to punish Bill. But I'm not so sure about that, honestly. Brooke makes another good point. This will be a battle. Are you really ready to battle with Bill, you're going to drag Will right into it. And that's not good for him. But Katie feels she has no choice, which is complete BS. I'm sorry, it is. Brooke tries to remind Katie that this battle won't be good for anyone, especially Will. I don't understand how Katie doesn't realize this. And that's how Thursday ends. So that brings us into Friday, September the 14th. The show opens at Katie's house, right where we left off, and Katie is desperately trying to get Brooke to see her side of it and to see from her perspective. Brooke tells Katie that she does have another choice. Bill messed up, but he wants to be there for Will now, but you won't let him. So basically Brooke is saying, look, Bill messed up, but he wants to be there for Will now, so why won't you let him? Then she continues, Katie, I am worried that you're going to completely ruin Bill and Will's relationship. You have to reconsider. If he wants to be a good father, let him. And then Katie says, you know what? Come on, Brooke. How many times has Bill promised to change, and he never does? Enough is enough. I have to stand up to Bill. I'm not changing my mind. And then Brooke looks sad. She tries one more time to get through to Katie, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work. Now we head over to Spencer Publications in Bill's office. And Justin is explaining to Bill that he's amazed that Brooke would put herself in this position for him, because it's not a good place for her to be. Bill agrees. Yeah, that clown, referring to Ridge, would go ballistic if he knew that Brooke was trying to help me. That's why it has to stay a secret. That dressmaker doesn't tell Brooke what to do. She makes her own decision. Justin looks worried, and he says, yeah, but choosing you over her sister and lying to her husband, this could go really bad for her. And then Bill says, well, hopefully she will get through to Katie and this will all be over soon enough. Don't hold your breath. Back at Forrester Creations in the executive office with Ridge and Thorne, Thorne tells Ridge that this is not going to be easy. Bill is going to make this as difficult as possible for Katie. Then the office door opens and Steffy comes in. And Steffy comments that it's pretty obvious to everyone that Thorne has fallen really hard for Katie. And Thorne gets a little bit embarrassed, but he admits that he has really fallen for Katie. And then, before they can say anything else, Pam sticks her head in the door and informs Thorne that he has someone waiting to meet with him in his office. So Thorne leaves, he takes off, and then Ridge gets on to Steffy for embarrassing Thorne. Are you kidding? Like, really? So, she was just playing around. Ridge is just a total, he's totally Ridge today. Like, he's just off of his rocker today. And everything he does just is, what are you doing? I wish I could just say to him, what are you doing? Why are you yelling at Steffy? Okay, so Ridge gets on to Steffy for embarrassing Thorne, and Steffy laughs because she thinks it's funny. And Ridge comments that Thorne is a much better role model for Will than Bill will ever be. Then Steffy just kind of looks surprised because she's just surprised her dad is being so aggressive, I guess you could say. So she makes the mistake of saying, you know, I don't know if Katie is making the right decision. Maybe she is going a little bit too far. And then Ridge loses it. And he goes off on Steffy. He goes off about how horrible Bill is. And he's a horrible person and a horrible father. And yeah, and he's going on. And Steffy comments that Bill does love his son. And that she knows that is true. That was the wrong thing for Steffy to say to Ridge. Ridge actually yells, stop. If there's any justice in this world, Bill will lose. And then Steffy looks at Ridge very suspiciously and she says, Dad, is this really about justice or is this payback? Good point, Steffy. Well made. That's the same exact thing that everyone else is thinking. So Ridge says, I want Katie to win so that Bill won't hurt Will anymore. But Steffy's not buying it. Dad, you want Katie to win so you can see Bill suffer. And then Ridge tells Steffy that he doesn't see it that way and that they just see things differently. But he does think Bill will eventually get everything he deserves. And then Steffy tries to talk and she says, yeah, but as a father, and he actually yells at her and interrupts her. Rude. Steffy is stunned by Ridge's aggression. And Ridge says, as a father, I saw what he did to you. He took advantage of you. So no, I don't care what happens to him. No one else should either. I am just glad that Bill is going to face all the horrible things he's done. And he is going to lose his boy. And no one can stop that. I think Steffy hit the nail on the head, if you ask me. I think she's exactly right. I think Ridge wants revenge on Bill, and I think he's enjoying every minute of it. Because Ridge hates Bill for multiple reasons, but for the main reason is Brooke. He really hates that Brooke fell in love with Bill. He hates it. Now we head back over to Katie's, and Brooke is gone, and Will comes downstairs and he has a play date. Someone's at the door and Katie thinks it's the play date, but it's actually Thorne. And Thorne comes in and Katie tells him that she had a long discussion with Brooke, and of course he wants to know what Brooke wanted. So there's another knock on the door and it is Will's play date. So Will leaves and then Katie can finally tell Thorne what happened. So Katie basically explains to Thorne exactly what Brooke wants her to do. She wants her to drop the suit. And Thorne is surprised. He finds it strange that Brooke agrees with Bill. And it's caught him off guard. Very much so. And then Katie looks at Thorne and she says, you know what, Thorne? Thank you for being here for me and Will. And for being such a good influence on both of us. And Thorne says, well, you've both been a good influence on me too. So Thorne grabs Katie's hand and he brings her over to the couch and they sit down. And Thorne tells Katie how much he loves her and how much he loves Will. He feels that they need to show the judge that they can provide a more stable home for Will than Bill can. And that he really hopes to see Will grow up and that he wants to be a part of their lives. Thorne says, Thorne says, what I'm trying to say is when we go in front of the judge, we should be united. A united front. And then he gets a ring box out of his pocket. He gets down on one knee and Katie is crying. She is very surprised. She's taken aback. And Thorne opens the box. And then he says those words that most women and or men are so excited to hear. Will you marry me? And Katie looks happy, but she also looks in complete shock. All in one. And then we head to Spencer Publications. Back over to Bill's office. Brooke has just arrived to inform Bill that she is so sorry, but she couldn't get through to Katie. And she feels really bad. She truly wishes she could help. She feels horrible about the whole situation. But Katie has made up her mind. And then she tells Bill that she does agree with him. Katie's logic makes no sense. But somehow it makes sense to Katie. And Brooke says, I just don't get how keeping how sole custody is going to help your relationship with Will. And then Bill says that he understands. And he says, well, I guess we're doing this. I guess this means war. And then Brooke says, Bill, calm down. I tell you what, I will try again. And then now Bill's taken aback because he did not expect her to say that. He actually feels really touched that Brooke would help him when he really doesn't deserve it. He does stress to her that she doesn't have to do this for him. He would totally understand if she couldn't help anymore. But she assures him she will try again, which really shocks me. Brooke is convinced that there has to be something they could do to fix this. And Bill is obviously upset. And he says that if Katie gets her way, he's going to lose Will. And then Brooke reassures him and she says, look, don't worry. We are going to figure this out. We won't let this happen. You won't lose Will. I will try to convince Katie one way or another. And then Bill is very touched and he just says, thank you. Thank you so much. And he hugs her. And then out of the blue, he kisses her and she immediately pulls away and pushes him away from her. She is stunned and her face is not happy. She looks quite mad. Like, I'm helping you and then you're going to do that? Like, what are you doing? And that's how Friday ends. With Brooke in shock, I think. That is the inappropriate kiss number 2. So, in my opinion, these two should never be trusted alone together. They have a very weird history and they have no self-control, especially Bill. And by the way, like 10 minutes ago, Bill was in love with Steffy and obsessed with her. What is he doing? He made it a point to say he doesn't want to cause trouble for Brooke. But then he does this. It's inappropriate. And you know what? If Ridge did find out, which we all know he's going to find out. But if Ridge found out, right, and he was really mad that Brooke was helping Bill, still, in the grand scheme of things, it's innocent. It's someone who's trying to help out someone else because she feels like it's the right thing to do. But now you add in that he tried to kiss her or did kiss her. And it's like, okay, well, now that's out the window. Like your whole oh, well, it's just an innocent thing, out the window. So Ridge has every right to completely lose his shit and go over there and punch Bill in the face, which is probably what's going to happen. And I can't wait because I love it when Ridge punches people in the face. I don't know why, but I love it because I find it just hilarious. He has no restraint when he gets mad. He just loses it. But that brings us to the end of the week. And again, I apologize for the episode being so late. If you want to donate to the podcast, $1 a month it's only 25 cents an episode. I would really appreciate it. Or if you want to get in touch with me, I would love to hear your comments, feedback, opinions, predictions, whatever you guys are thinking. I'd love to hear them. So you can get in touch with me and you can donate at theboldandbeautifulpodcast.com. I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope everyone out there has a great week this week. I will definitely be back next week. Until then, bye guys.